Have you ever been alone at an empty intersection at night, staring at a red traffic light, feeling like it's staring back at you, daring you to understand why it won't change? That moment of quiet frustration is where this story begins, because what looks like a simple colored bulb holding you hostage is actually one of the most quietly sophisticated systems ever embedded into daily life, a system that makes decisions, balances priorities, predicts human behavior, and in some cities, even learns from you over time. The traffic light is not just a rule enforcer, it is a silent negotiator between chaos and order, and once you see what's really happening behind that pole and those lenses, you will never wait at a red light the same way again. At first glance, traffic lights feel primitive, almost boring, like relics from an earlier era of technology, but that assumption is exactly what makes them so fascinating. They sit there, unblinking, unmoving, yet they choreograph the motion of entire cities, deciding who moves, who waits, and for how long. Billions of people obey them daily without question, trusting that some invisible logic is at work, and that trust didn't appear by accident. It was built slowly, through decades of engineering failures, human error, innovation, and relentless experimentation, all in the pursuit of one simple goal: keeping people from crashing into each other. Long before sensors and cameras ever existed, traffic control was a gamble. Early intersections relied on fixed timers, mechanical systems that switched lights based on preset intervals, regardless of what was actually happening on the road. If the timer said green for 30 seconds, it was green for 30 seconds, even if no cars were coming, even if a line of vehicles was piling up in another direction. These systems assumed that traffic behaved predictably, that human movement could be reduced to averages and schedules. Sometimes that worked, but often it didn't, and anyone who has ever waited endlessly at a red light with no cars in sight has felt the limitations of that rigid logic. That frustration was the crack where innovation slipped in. Engineers realized that if traffic lights were ever going to truly manage flow instead of just enforcing order, they needed awareness. They needed to sense the world around them. That realization led to one of the most important invisible inventions in modern cities: inductive loop detectors. Buried beneath the asphalt, shaped like large rectangles or squares, these coils of wire create magnetic fields that are disrupted when a vehicle passes over them. The light doesn't see your car, but it feels it. The moment your vehicle rolls to a stop above the loop, the system knows you're there, waiting, expecting a response. This was a turning point, because for the first time, traffic lights could react instead of blindly following a script. If no vehicle was detected, the system could skip a phase entirely. If cars kept arriving, it could extend a green light just long enough to clear the queue. Traffic lights started behaving less like clocks and more like listeners, and cities around the world quietly became more efficient because of it. But even this leap forward came with flaws. Bicycles, motorcycles, and lighter vehicles sometimes slipped under the radar, literally invisible to systems designed to sense large masses of metal. Progress had been made, but perfection was still far away. Then came the eyes. Cameras mounted high above intersections changed the game again, not by enforcing laws as many drivers fear, but by watching patterns. These systems don't just detect presence, they analyze movement. They count vehicles, measure speed, estimate congestion, and observe how traffic behaves across multiple lanes simultaneously. In complex intersections where left turns, right turns, pedestrian crossings, and multiple directions collide, cameras provide a broader understanding than any buried sensor ever could. They allow traffic lights to see the whole picture, not just individual moments. Yet even vision has its weaknesses. Heavy rain, snow, fog, or poor lighting can confuse image processing systems. Software matters just as much as hardware, and accuracy depends on how well algorithms interpret reality. This is where the story deepens, because traffic lights are no longer just physical objects. They are software-driven decision-makers, running logic that has to interpret incomplete, messy, real-world data in real time, with no margin for error. As cities grew denser and vehicles heavier, another layer of intelligence was added beneath the road itself. Weight sensors embedded in pavement allow systems to detect large vehicles like buses and trucks. These vehicles don't accelerate like cars, and treating them the same creates delays and bottlenecks. When a traffic light senses a heavy vehicle waiting, it can subtly adjust its timing, extending a green phase just enough to let that slow-moving mass clear the intersection safely. Most drivers never notice this adjustment, but it smooths traffic in ways that are almost invisible, and invisibility is often the hallmark of great design. And then there are pedestrians, the most unpredictable element of all. The humble crosswalk button feels like a symbol of control, a way for humans to request attention from the system. In some intersections, pressing it truly changes the flow, interrupting traffic to allow immediate crossing. In others, it simply guarantees that a pedestrian phase will occur during the next cycle. Newer systems remove the illusion entirely, replacing buttons with sensors and thermal cameras that detect human presence automatically, even in darkness or bad weather. The system watches, waits, and decides when it is safe for someone to cross, often before they even realize they've been detected. All of these inputs flow into the real brain of the intersection, the traffic controller. Housed in an unassuming metal box nearby, this small computer processes signals from sensors, cameras, timers, and communication systems. It balances competing demands constantly, deciding which direction deserves priority, how long a phase should last, and when to intervene. It is less like a switch and more like a conductor, orchestrating movement with precision that most people never stop to appreciate. This is where the tension builds, because the modern traffic light is no longer just reacting. It is learning. Artificial intelligence has quietly entered the intersection. AI-powered systems analyze historical data, recognize patterns, and adjust behavior over time. They learn that traffic behaves differently during lunch hours, during rain, during holidays, or after a nearby event ends. They adapt not just to what is happening, but to what is likely to happen next. In some cities, traffic lights communicate with centralized management systems, allowing engineers to tweak behavior across entire districts in real time. The climax of this evolution arrives when emergency vehicles enter the scene. Ambulances, fire trucks, and police vehicles don't rely on luck when they pass through red lights. They communicate. Using radio signals, infrared beams, or GPS, they request immediate green lights along their route. The traffic system responds instantly, clearing a path that can save lives. In those moments, the traffic light is no longer neutral. It chooses sides, prioritizing urgency over routine, and it does so automatically, without hesitation. Yet for all this intelligence, perfection remains elusive. Sensors fail. Cameras misinterpret shadows. Infrastructure ages. Upgrading older cities is expensive and complex. Traffic patterns shift unpredictably as populations grow and behavior changes. The system is powerful, but it is not omniscient. And that limitation is exactly what makes the future so compelling. Imagine a world where vehicles themselves become part of the system, communicating directly with traffic lights. Your car announces its approach. The light responds before you even slow down. Congestion dissolves not through enforcement, but through coordination. This is not science fiction. It is already being tested, quietly, intersection by intersection, city by city. The traffic light, once a simple signal, is becoming a node in a vast, intelligent network that manages movement on a scale humans alone never could. So the next time you're waiting at a red light, remember that you're not just paused by a bulb. You're standing at the edge of a decision made by layers of technology, history, logic, and learning. You are participating in one of the most complex everyday systems humanity has ever built, a system designed not to impress you, but to protect you, guide you, and keep the world moving just a little more smoothly. If this changed the way you see traffic lights, let me know in the comments what surprised you the most, or share a moment when waiting at an intersection made you question how it all works. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden intelligence behind everyday objects, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned, because there are countless ordinary things around you with extraordinary stories waiting to be uncovered.